There's a moment in almost every meaningful pursuit where motivation stops being enough. You don't feel ready. You don't feel confident. You don't feel supported. You don't even feel like yourself in the way you wish you did. And in that moment, everything becomes negotiable, except for one thing: 4 words that will change your life. I do it anyways. Tired? Do it anyways. Scared? Do it anyways. No support? Do it anyways. Not because the feelings aren't real, because they are. And yet, if we only acted when we felt perfect, most of what matters would never get started. This is where a misconception quietly takes place. We often assume that high performers, successful people, or winners operate from constant strength, constant motivation, constant clarity, and constant energy. That's just not true. The difference is not that they feel less resistance. The difference is that they stop negotiating with it. Because feelings are real, but they are not always reliable instructions for what we should do next. Tiredness will always have a reason to stay in bed. Fear will always have a reason to avoid the risk. Lack of support will always have a reason to quit quietly. And if you listen closely, those reasons can sound incredibly logical. But progress rarely lives in what feels logical in the moment all the time. It lives in repetition. It lives in consistency, in showing up when showing up feels like the hardest option ever. I do it anyways. It's not just a statement of aggression, it's a statement of identity. It's the moment you stop asking, do I feel like it? And start asking, who am I becoming if I do it anyways? Because every time you override comfort in favor of commitment, something shifts internally. Not dramatically, but quietly. Almost imperceptibly at first. You build evidence. Evidence that you are someone who follows through. Evidence that your actions are not dependent on your mood. Evidence that your future is not dictated by your current state. And over time, that evidence becomes your identity. That's what separates people who eventually reach their goals from those who stay stuck in cycles of starting and stopping. Not talent or resources or even timing. It's the willingness to act in spite of internal resistance. Tired? Do it anyways. Because discipline is built in exhaustion, not in energy. Scared? Do it anyways. Because courage is not the absence of fear, it's movement through it. No support? Do it anyways. Because validation is not a prerequisite for growth. And if that sounds difficult, well, it's because it is. But so is staying the same. There's a cost either way. One cost is immediate discomfort with long-term momentum. The other is immediate comfort with long-term stagnation. And most people don't notice the trade until time has already collected it. That's why this idea matters, not as motivation, but as a reset, a reminder that action is not conditional. You don't need perfect alignment to begin. You don't need perfect feelings to continue. You don't need perfect circumstances to show up. You only need one decision that overrides the negotiation. I do it anyways. And over time, that decision becomes less about what you're doing and more about who you are. Because the winners aren't necessarily the strongest. They're just the ones who decide to show up, regardless of how they feel.